Championship here live from Arlington. I'm Aggro, joined by Clumsy, Lermy, and Enna. And you might be wondering, these aren't the typical esports people anymore for a lot of us. But we are a part of the development team. And so I'm really excited to introduce to you the Design a God panel for the Season 9 SMITE World Championship, where we are going to kind of lift the hood a little bit on the Designing a God process and get the fans here in Arlington involved. So Hindu Man is going to be standing by over here, being very kind to all of our fans, I'm sure, as he always is, taking your ideas for a god, and we're going to build one live here on the stage, which should be a lot of fun. And Enna, of course, is going to be doing some incredible artwork for us as we do it with your very beautiful iPad here that should be hooked up and ready to go to show all of your wonderful creations.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's going to be a ton of fun. In fact, I think you did a little preparation here for it.
Yeah,
Surely you were ready.
Oh my God.
Oops.
This is
sorry,
amazing.
y'all. This isn't. I'm so sorry. This isn't what I. Ooh, I don't know where that came from.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. There we go. Hi.
Okay, there we go.
back.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Though the first thing also kind of what we're looking for, if we're being honest. Clumsy, give the fans here a breakdown of what we are looking for this in particular Design a God panel.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the previous Design God panels, we've kind of explored which kind of god that we want to do to build together, like you said, with the community, a hypothetical character that with the hypothetical abilities that we aren't going to promise is going to be in the game. But that being said, historically we've actually used a lot of inspiration from panels like this. I know we did the Garuda during the Build a God, and some of those ideas actually were inspirations for what ended up being some horse abilities. Again, not to say that that's going to happen every time. It's not it's going to happen here, but we're really excited to have you all participate in building a god together today. So usually, we might decide on a god with the crowds. This is going to be a very, very different experience than it has been with the online ones, the digital ones before, and the physical previously. So we actually have one prepared, and that's going to be Cronus, the god of the harvest.
The god of the harvest. You might recognize Cronus as well from being Zeus's father. That's kind of a big deal, and he might have lightly done some snacking on his children.
Yeah.
Like, it was not a huge, okay, it was a pretty big deal. Lermy, can you give us a little bit of a rundown on Cronus in particular for those who might not be familiar?
Yes, of course. So, like you said, Cronus is Zeus's father, but he's also the father of a lot of other children. And so there's a very famous story called the Titanomachy. And so in this story, what happens is that Cronus hears a prophecy that his children are basically going to kill him. And he's like, well, I don't really want to die. That's not really for me right now. So he decides to get rid of his children, and he does that by eating them. But his wife decides, okay, Zeus, I'm not letting this happen to you. I'm going to send you off, and then Zeus grows up. He becomes, of course, the wondrous, powerful god of lightning.
Coolest, best power there is. Yeah, all that.
And so he comes back, and he's like, Cronus, you have my siblings in there. That's kind of messed up. And so the attack on the Titans began, and Cronus eventually perished to his son, and all of the children were freed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So kind of messed up what he did, but also here's it a little bit in the corner. We don't want to die or anything. It's kind of
being manipulated by prophecy, a mythological constant. That's just like how it goes for sure. So Cronus, Clumsy, we expect going to be using some particular weaponry during this process. It's always very important for us to know exactly what type of weapon a god is going to be using.
So Cronus, again, to clarify, he's a Titan. He's the the father of the gods in a way, even though he's the youngest of the Titans. And his father and mother are Father Sky and Mother Earth, right? Uranus and Gaia, and that's going to be important because that created him as the fertility, the harvest god. And so he has famously used his sickle or scythe or even a harp. That being said, we're going to go into the next part of the segment where we're going to talk about what class, what role we think this character is going to be. And of course, we're not going to just dictate everything, right? We're going to want the crowd and everyone here to participate and show us what their enthusiasm is going to be for the class of this character.
Yeah.
He is a Titan, so he's going to be a little bit bigger. We saw some initial sketches that might lead us to be like, hey, maybe with the builds like that, we would expect him to be some sort of warrior or guardian figure. But, the last few ones, we had Sekhmet, we had Epona, we had Omoikane, and we had Garuda. With those ones in mind, we had a warrior, a guardian, a mage, and another warrior. We haven't had an assassin or a hunter in a little while in these Build a God panels, which is a little bit weird for this build, but that doesn't mean we can't flex around a little bit. That doesn't mean we can't get exciting. So I think we're going to let the crowd decide, let the community decide what class we're going to be doing for this character.
That seems fun to me. So I believe we're just going to be doing the old-fashioned cheering method on which one's louder for what you're looking for. Hindu Man, you don't have the big headphones on. You can be our kind of field reporter if that's
great.
okay with you. Yeah,
Man on the street, right? But
yeah,
man in
why
the
don't
crowd.
you ask them what they want?
Okay, so we're either looking for a guardian, I believe, or a warrior. You guys said, yeah.
No, any of the 5.
Any of the 5, whatever they're
Let's get
feeling.
to forever. Okay, would you like a hunter? Cheer. Okay, support. I mean guardian, but all right, that was a bit better. Mid laner. We've got enough of them. I don't care who cheered for that one, to be honest. Jungler. Yeah, that was kind of the best one so far. And finally, solo lane warrior. I think it's solo lanes, to be honest, or jungles. You guys choose now.
Between a solo, I mean, we could do.
It's
I mean,
close.
it would be unique for it to have a warrior who is capable of jungling. We have like none of those. Clumsy,
I've never heard of those before.
None of those.
But Sacrament was an aggressive warrior. We almost had the exact same identical conversations. Like, well, maybe we make him a warrior that can go into the jungle, or now maybe we go to a jungler that can maybe be a warrior. But
What about the counter? What if it's an assassin meant for the solo lane?
Ooh, okay. You can definitely play around with that. So I'm definitely liking the fact that the crowd is kind of enthusiastic about something a little bit different. An assassin. The build isn't quite the same, a titanic, large, muscular figure being an assassin. It has a little bit of some dichotomy there. It's going to be a little bit
I
different.
was gonna say, yeah, because Cronus, as Lermy has told us, is like a larger-than-life character, and I wouldn't want to diminish that that imposing factor that he has.
Yeah.
I mean, he swallowed, killed all his kids and stuff like that. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, having this big lumbering titan come running out of the jungle at you, it would be a little bit unique. But I think the big thing that if we were talking about this internally that would come to mind is how can we convey that he's big but isn't tanky, and big but does damage more so than soaks damage.
Or with some of the other class flex characters as well, maybe he's big and he's a little bit tanky, kind of like we said, he's almost more of like a warrior assassin or assassin warrior, and we play along with that. No, he doesn't need to be the sneaky Loki style kind of an assassin, right?
Yeah.
But we can play around with different ways of making him, kind of gank others or have a successful team fight. Assassins usually do.
Anna, when you're hearing this conversation about, assassin warrior, big boy but damagey, visually, what are you envisioning right away?
I mean, I think with the 2 sketches that I have, I definitely agree with Clumsy. Not a Loki, definitely not. That man's on a diet. We want big chunk. We want something maybe in the middle of Thor and say Odin or something like that. Like a nice middle. I would personally love to give him a belly.
Sure.
Because I mean, the jiggle graphics on Bacchus, amazing, stunning. So I think that'd be really fun.
Plus, I mean, you don't get thin by eating gods. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's not.
They're high calorie.
Right.
And
you're not going to be cutting it.
Eating gods, assassins, there's something already building there.
Okay.
So
All right.
let's
so
play around with that.
let's play around with that. So let's go with the idea that he's going to be a fairly aggressive assassin that might be able to have some warrior-like qualities, and by that I mean sustain, typically pretty important for the solo lane. You need some sort of HP 5 or healing type of ideas. Maybe we can start working on what the big theme, or even if there's a particular ability. Usually at this point, Clumsy, we kind of crack it open and say, what would, this is what we want. We want him to use either a scythe or a harp,
Yeah.
do some damage. What would be cool?
So let's talk about that weapon. Again, usually we'd want to brainstorm with everyone here, and we are going to do a little bit of that too, but he is super iconic in his stories, having that sickle, having that scythe, or having that harp. We have custom characters with most of those kinds of weaponry today, or just in general, but let's try and find out from the crowd again. If he's going to be an assassin, scythes, you already think of Thanatos, Osiris has got a little bit of that sickle going on, but let's find out what people want to see him use.
Yeah, well, that's why we got Hindu Man down in the crowd. Did you get spiffier in between? What happened?
Huh?
Did you change outfits or something? Did you
No,
have
I
a
just
hat
took
on
the hat
earlier?
off, that's all
Oh,
it
you looked so
was.
much spiffier right away. I was so focused on it.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Hindu, can you maybe find some people with some ideas or ask what they prefer between the weaponry? We can kind of go either way.
It's like the worst job to stand here on my own and go, do you want a scythe? And what was the other one?
A harp.
Yep.
Do you want a harp? My job here is done.
What about a sickle? We got a sickle as
Oh,
well.
sorry, sickle.
Ah.
You almost messed up your one job.
I know. I was close. I was close. To be clear, if you guys have ideas for abilities for gods, by the way, that you guys want to potentially come over here and say, if you want to form a queue down here, Or
That's a
line,
line.
as
Yeah,
you all
a
say.
line.
I was covering both, okay?
Thank you.
Got to form a line down here. I'll try and get to you when we get to the ability section, just as a heads up. Anyway, back to these guys with their scythe. No,
Sickle.
Sickle. Close enough.
Yeah.
A sickle, right.
A sickle, you know, it's going to be that shorter. Both of those are kind of farming tools anyways, and I definitely want to get some ideas on how Cronus could use that sickle in unique methods. Because we have Osiris, right? He's kind of got his sickle, he's got his flail. I mean, maybe we want to dual wield sickles.
I was
maybe we
thinking
want
of
to have one
maybe
big
the harp
one.
was pretty close. The people seem to like
It
the harp
was.
idea. Could we
But
do
it's also
something?
not like the harp instrument. I want to be very
no,
clear
no,
on
no,
that
no,
as
no,
well.
not the instrument, but like, can we combine these ideas in a way? You know?
So it's kind of like
Yeah.
a medium-sized sword with like a little bit of a groove to it, and the sickle.
So what are we talking about here? Because I'm legit drawing an instrument right now.
Yeah.
Well, that
so,
would
What
be
are y'all
cool.
talking about?
so the harp is kind of like this medium-sized sword with
Okay.
a little bit of a groove at the end.
Oh, gotcha.
While the sickle is, you know, it's this smaller scythe. It's just got like a large curve again. Osiris
Yes.
kind of just has this like a crescent shape.
I have these two options that I drew up since we mentioned that he is the god of the harvest. I figured it'd be really cool to differentiate him from Thanatos, having that giant scythe, to add like pieces of grain and rope and things that you would find in like a barn per se, like covering up, or made of wood with a piece of metal like built into the wood or growing out of it, like the second one.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That seems
I'm
very
loving
cool.
it.
Lermy, anything coming to mind for you right now on, you know, if this was a conversation we'd be having internally, kind of this, what would you be, in my shoes, I'd be trying to think like, what am I trying to make sure he does? You know, the farming theme, definitely want a little bit of that. Can I get some eating theming in there? Because that's such a key part of his
Maybe
lore. You know,
not the eating, because
Right.
we have that in Bakasura already, right?
Right,
So he
exactly.
does, but he eats minions, right?
Yes.
So we could take that theme of eating, maybe shift it towards kills a little bit, since you know you're kind of eating through that health bar more
Sure.
so than anything else. So maybe that's a good theme for us to kind of pivot to on that. But when it comes to his actual weapon, I think it would be very cool to have him be, since he's this big lumbering titan, right? Kind of like how
Yeah.
Atlas has the weight of the world on his shoulder. He could also kind of be this slow but methodical attacker, where he uses the sickle in a very different way to how Osiris does with the fast chopping, or Thanatos does with the very big swings with his
Right.
scythe.
Yeah, I think some channeling, some uninterruptible channeling would be kind of cool, because you know, channeling abilities in Smite, with the amount of CC that we have, can be very, very frustrating.
Absolutely.
But that would be a unique gameplay style for an assassin, who are normally very quick and bursty. Can we try and convey a little bit more weight in these abilities? But it requires some pretty heavy trade-offs with, you know, making sure that he isn't interruptible so easily.
Absolutely, I fully agree. And now that we've kind of got the basis of the foundation and we have some people ready, let's start the brainstorming part of this.
I agree. This is
Yes.
the most fun part of the whole process, when we just get to talk to a bunch of people and see what crazy ideas they have come up with. So Hindu Man, you're looking very confident already in what you're hearing over there.
You see, the thing is, I'm a little concerned if we're maybe going to get some really good ideas or some really bad ideas. And I get to go, okay, thanks very much.
No,
the whole
we
time.
can say thanks very much.
Come on
You
up,
got
come on
it.
up,
Bring
come on up. What's your name, sir?
Seth,
Seth, where are you from?
Florida.
Do we do cheers here? Yeah. Oh, that's it. 2 people said, woo, for Florida. What's your ideas?
So my idea is for the alt. He eats a god, banishing them into his stomach, and they take damage over time.
Okay.
And he gains healing based on how much damage they take.
Okay.
And if they fall below a certain threshold, they get executed.
Oh, okay.
That does make a lot of
that
sense.
almost-
That's pretty on theme.
I was going to say, that almost sounded like one of those ones those guys would make with like 15 different levels of text. You know what I mean? It was very, very
Yeah,
close.
what's
It's
he
got
doing
a
in his-
true damage, you know.
What's
all
he
that
doing in
kind
his
of
alternate stance? You know?
stuff. Yeah, very clumsy,
Thanks
very
for that,
question
Any
there.
other ideas real quick?
No, that's about it.
All right, thanks for your time. Next up,
I
come
like
on,
it,
Let's
Seth.
go. How you doing? What's your name?
Hi, I'm Sammy Stukes.
Sammy, how you doing? What's your ability idea?
Well, I have an idea for a passive.
Sure.
I'm thinking if we're gonna go for a bit of a flex in solo, I'm thinking a passive that would increase his protection, so he's able to take more damage. I'm thinking for every minion kill, he'll gain probably 1 stack of protection, and for a god, maybe 10. That would probably refresh after death. I'm still working on a name, but for right now, I'm gonna stick with something like God Eater.
Sure.
God eater.
God Eater.
That's pretty
There's
cool.
a theme coming of like eating gods so far.
I mean,
with
that's
this.
his biggest story, so it makes sense.
Thanks very much for your time. Who's
Thanks,
next?
Jamie.
Come on out. We'll do a couple more before I go back
Yeah,
to
we'll
you
kind of
guys.
give some feedback
The
about all
queue's
of them
getting
as we
bigger,
go.
you know?
Yeah.
How you doing? What's
I
your
love
name?
My name is Dalton.
Sorry?
Dalton.
He's a Dawson. I was like, hang on a second.
Only one of those.
So I'm following along with this guy with the passive tree because I want to see something really unique with like a passive, but it doesn't really have to be overly complicated. With the sickles, you're just implying like Cyrus like beat him down style, so you'll inflict deep wounds, which means reduced healing and like a dot or a bleed over time. It's like an anti-healing type deal warrior.
Yeah.
Anti-healing warrior.
I like it. It's very good in the solo lane in particular because of how much sustain is typically there.
Thanks so much, Dalton. Appreciate it. Come
Thanks,
on,
Dalton.
we'll do one more and we'll do a quick throwback to those guys, see how they feel. What's your name?
Griffin,
And where you from, Griffin?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. I don't even know where that is.
That's fair.
I'm sorry, I'm really bad with my US states. What's your idea?
So it's also for the ult, similar to what the other guys said. An execute where you eat people. An execute range would go up as you level it up.
Why do you all want executes? What's going on? Do you like executes? Do we have a lot of execute fans in the crowd?
It's a bunch of Pon God fans right there.
How? If you're getting eaten, you should just die.
Yeah, I can't fault
Got a
that
point with
logic,
that.
you know?
Thanks so much for your time. All right, back to you guys for some of those ideas. How do you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. So any of these jump out at you, Lermy, right away for our first few batches of ideas?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I hear the crowd, right?
Yeah.
We haven't had an execute since, what, Achilles?
The
Been a little
assassin maiden
bit.
would say that, huh?
Maybe it's time, maybe it's time to bring it back again.
Okay. That would make assassins pretty execute heavy, like
It's
the vast
true.
majority of them are there, but that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I mean, maybe that's fine for it to be exclusive
Yeah,
to them,
it is a little bit identifiable in that way. You can spin it that way for sure. Clumsy, anything jump out at you?
No, I'm actually just excited to throw. I mean, yes, a lot of things
Yeah.
I'm excited for, but the theme of God Eater is pretty iconic. I actually really like that almost even as a title.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to come and see what Anna's been working on.
Oh yeah, Anna, you've been cooking something up over there, or what?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm just taking a glance over and it looks
I know, I don't
insane.
get to see it from this
Yeah, I
side.
can't tell when she's
So-
ready, so it's good that you guys are keeping an eye on her.
So we are doing sickles, and
Yeah.
I figured we
Oh,
have one
those.
just like a very basic shape, something different to differentiate from the sickles in game from Osiris and also from Izanami, something more round and that actually fits the the OG sickle from back in the day in medieval times.
Right.
Very curved. I still really like the idea of adding wheat as a
Yeah.
design, either inlaid into the handle or just like popping out or something. But then again, we have to think he has to grasp it. So never mind that part. But also to
Ooh.
what
Wow.
one of our fans was talking about, him being a god eater, and we don't want to forget that. That's such a badass part of him, right?
Yeah.
So I think this would be a really cool mix of him being a god of harvest, but then one of his, oh god, the name is so
Pauldron?
Pauldron, thank you.
Yes.
Oh my god, and the concept team were always like, what's it called? To maybe one of his pauldrons is like a really
so cool.
terrifying depiction of him with a
Yeah.
gaping mouth.
That looks really cool. It also could look like Zeus, seeing
Crying.
all of his siblings
Oh.
being eaten, you know what I
Oh my
mean?
god, it's
Like
very
that.
Greek
Or
motif.
I can add like a
love
little
that.
tear.
Yeah, perfect. Sad. Yeah, that looks really cool. And I really like that idea as well, going with that God Eater theme. And the idea that stood out the most to me was that very first one of eating a god, maybe not even having it be an execute, but being able to walk around with them in your stomach, the kind of reverse Arachne
Right.
2 type of feeling. But the immediate question that I think you or AJ would ask me, Clumsy, if that were my pitch, is what happens if that god beads on the inside of the stomach?
Sure,
Are we letting them
exactly.
out? Are we doing something like Naja, where you have a beads window, or Heimdall, where you have a beads window, but if you miss it, they're inside the whole time?
Or we have done the precedents of King Arthur, right? Where
Yeah.
you do get lifted into the air, you do get this cinematic banish moment that we kind of do with Kumbhakarna and Naja, but there is an escape mechanism with beads which ends the effect early, but in a unique way.
Sure. Yeah, okay. So maybe we have that. When we're talking about big ultimates in particular, we always want those big flashy moments, and so we are trying to get those. That's where animation really gets to go wild, right?
Yeah,
Trying to
absolutely.
really
Oh, yeah.
display the epic proportions of an ability. So if there can be some type of outro, we're always thinking about intro, outro animations or pre-fire, post-fire animations. If there can be that special post-fire animation of the god being regurgitated back up or
Yes, I
breaking
love
out
that.
themselves, maybe it doesn't even have to be Cronus controlled. As long as that can be played if they beads, just like Arthur's big ult does, I think that's a great idea and a great way to take it.
You guys have also keep mentioning QuickTime event kind of mechanics,
Oh,
right? So
yes.
if you're inside and
Can I say, we have a chat, we have a crowd here now that is live.
What have I
Naja
done?
alt is cool because it's this quick time, you know, it's not super mechanically intensive, but we get requests all the time, I feel like, for more Naja alt style abilities. Does the crowd, am I wrong in that? Do you guys want more Naja alt style stuff? Thank you. I hope AJ's watching, because that's gonna be
I
on my
probably
next
should
pitch.
have done that prompt. But
Yeah,
I think
that's on
let's
you.
start getting some more ideas out from the crowd.
I think that's a great idea, Hindu Man. Oh man, the queue is getting
Yeah.
longer. And I said queue for you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I will say, though, that some of these guys behind me were like, no, we don't want more Naja rules at all. Well, come on up. What's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Taylor. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. Wait, took a horse here.
You did take a horse. I was gonna say, I don't even know where that is either. I'm sorry. I've got no clue. What's your ideas for abilities?
So I've thought about this for a little bit. I think it'd be hard to implement without it being OP, but playing on the time feature, maybe there's an ability or a passive to pause nearby enemy god abilities for a second, kind of delaying what they're able to do in the safety. Kind of be like a solo gank. You thought your dash was up, but now it's 1 more second. We can get you.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I
Oh,
like
so
it.
like lowering cooldowns, reversing cooldowns.
Yeah.
That is also an interesting
We've
point.
discussed those before, for sure.
Yeah.
We definitely have.
It's also an interesting point of conversation that I'm going to just briefly talk about right at the beginning of that. Cronus, C-R-O-N-U-S, is conflated with Cronus, our god of time. Like, those are actually very symmetrical characters in their stories. They're often, I wouldn't necessarily say confused, they're often conflated with one another.
Yeah.
So there have been themes going in the lore of a little bit of time-based things. But of course, with that said, we don't want to make him just Cronus, our god of time. But with harvest, fertility, the passage of time is inevitable. So we could also lean on that a little.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Go ahead, Graham.
Okay, where you from? And what's your name?
I'm Lucas, and I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
Just double checking. Hello. Hey, I'm back. Sorry, I lost my voice there for a second. Where you from?
I'm Lucas, and I'm from Jacksonville, Florida.
I know that place. It's near Georgia. Yay.
Okay, so my idea is when you press a button, you harvest the essence of a dead god, but depending on the class, you get a different buff. So if you do a guardian, you get like CCR, assassin, you get speed, hunter, you get attack speed, mage, you get percentage scaling on power, and warrior, you get protections of both kind.
Very cool. I like it.
one.
God Eater,
well, that's
very
the
much
list. Thanks
on
very
theme.
much. We'll do a couple more in a row.
Yeah.
What's your name? Where you from?
My name is Zach. I'm from New Hampshire. I was thinking of a projectile-based ability. When I think harvest, I think crops, so you can throw it at you. And then when it hits, maybe cause like a slow area because of that harvest.
Sure. Those ranged CCs for assassins, very, very important to set up ganks. So that's a good line to start thinking about.
We'll find out. What's your name? Where you from?
I'm Noxus. I'm from New Hampshire. And my idea is just is auto attacks just 100% negate shields. So they can't be shielded for 2 seconds after being auto attacked by him, and he destroys any shields that are on him. Because I think I can speak for everyone when shields are everybody's least favorite concept.
So you don't want him to have a shield, is what you're telling me.
I just don't want Hindu to play Geb.
Well, does anybody? That is Hindu Man's SMITE teammate there in the amateur league they've been playing.
We played in a team together recently.
Yes.
And
yeah.
That's why he knows.
I'm sorry, my friend, that you
Yeah,
have to
me
team with
too.
him.
Come on up. Oh no. What's your elo?
I'm Masters.
Where? In Europe?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not doing well. Get to the back of the line. Come on. Come on up, Travis. Wait.
Wait a minute.
Back of the line. You can come in the line. Just get back, okay? We'll do real players later.
Hi, I am Travis. I am from Alpharetta, Georgia.
Alpharetta, Georgia. I know that place, funny enough. It's very rare that I do. What's your idea, Travis?
So I love the idea so far about the god that you're building, but I want to make sure that you're keeping in mind how would it fit inside of like a cart.
Oh, smart. Now this guy's got good ideas.
And
It's almost like this guy's done this before.
I was going
Almost
to say,
like that.
for those who don't know here, Travis, general manager of Titanforge.
I think we have a lot of flexibility because we fit a mirror inside of one.
Right.
And we also have Ratatosker on one. But maybe if there was a new god and a new cart, that maybe we can consider this one to fit inside it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, surely. Smite cart 2
Thank you
right
for
around
that
the
idea.
corner.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Travis.
Let's go, Travis.
Let's get Chris, whoever this lovely fan
Chris
is.
Larson, the savior of paladins once upon a time, my friend.
Hello, I'm Chris.
Don't take the mic off me. I'll hold it for you. Okay?
I'm from Alpharetta, Georgia.
Hey.
Only ones that cheer is us. Nobody else knows where it really is.
My ability is I like dogs.
Yeah.
And I think we need more corgis in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So you press 3.
Okay.
And it summons a herd of corgis.
Okay.
Goes out to the map, grabs all the buffs for your team, including the enemy's buffs.
Oh, of course.
And then, that's basically it.
Okay.
On a 3? Not an ultimate or something?
Two. You're right.
2. Oh, we wrote it. Okay.
All right, I got that. I wrote it all down.
we got that on the sheet, Chris.
You got
yeah,
it.
that's
Anna, I know Anna can draw corgis.
I'm doing it now, baby.
All right.
Let's go.
Oh my
Hopefully
lord.
we'll see a Corgi.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Chris.
Larson, as
Maybe
well.
one
Okay.
more. One more, Graham. Yeah.
Come on,
Not
my
that the
friend.
last
How
two
you
haven't
doing?
been great
What's
ideas.
your name and where you from?
I'm Aiden. I'm from Mesa, Arizona, and we need to bring back SMITE Card 2. All right, we know it's possible. We had it in the Cthulhu Tier 5 emote. We need SMITE Card 2. That's it. That's the best.
How much did you pay that guy? Clumsy?
You know, I had a SMITE card bid coming up later, but the fact that it's showing up a little so much now, maybe I just cut that part out.
No, maybe we don't even need it. Yeah.
So
okay.
are we doing it?
I mean,
I don't
I
think
don't
it's up
know.
to you guys, though, realistically.
not up to me. Not up to me there.
It's your
Okay.
bit, Clumsy.
It's up to the two that were here earlier.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I think we gotta dive into some of these
Yes.
ideas real quick because we are running out of time already. We've been having too much fun. What are some things, Clumsy, that you're trying to start to piece together when it comes to this kit?
So we have obviously the theme of the god eating, right?
Yeah.
I think that's almost whenever there's a lot of brainstorms happening, whether it's internally in the different dev teams, and there's one kind of pitch, one kind of theme that's lingering between all of them. It's almost nonsensical not to include that. It just means it's going to resonate. So as silly as it sounds, obviously he is the Titan who has consumed all of these other gods. Having some components of that in a unique way, I think is going to be integral to him being fun.
I agree, Lermy. Trying to make it work for the god eating. I'm already thinking of all the ideas that we're going to need to have for animation. You know, what are the gods being eaten doing during the time they're being eaten? How is are they transforming into something so that we don't have to animate all of the god? You know, get a different type of look for all of them going into the stomach. What are you thinking?
Yeah, usually when we do that kind of treatment for those gods, we would either scale them out completely, send them to a place below, above the map, somewhere where the player's not going to see it.
Right.
Right? So their model has to go somewhere.
Right.
But one thing that actually interested me a lot was kind of a combination of that eating pitch and the pitch that we had earlier where doing things to specific classes gives you something special.
Yeah.
And one thing that I really like about that I really love to bring to more of our kits in SMITE is that for players, just doing the action itself of eating the god is going to give you a reward, right? But for people who want to min-max it, to actually push that ability to its limits, having that special little bit, you know, for each different class might give it that extra little oomph where you can make that decision in the middle of a fight and say, oh, you know, I want the movement speed buff. I want to eat the assassin here. Whereas, you know, a player that is just picking up the god for the first time can say, okay, I'm going to push the button and it's going to work and it's going to be great. And that's all they have to think about.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. So are we thinking eating the god being the ultimate? Is there any way that isn't? Could we make that a normal ability, or does that just have to be what the ultimate is going to be?
It feels very strong, right? Because eating kind of to me means you're taking them out of the play space.
Right.
And there are only a couple of characters that can do that, and when they do, it's for a very limited time, right? I'm thinking like Freya Banish,
Right.
like Yana's Portal, and they're not in there for very long, right?
Right.
So if you're going to send them off for a little bit longer, which I would love to do, because again, this is kind of his core theme. This is what this character does. So I really would love to give him that time and that play space to be able to do this and have this be his feature. So yes, I do think that should be the ultimate.
So I think that we should have now decide. We're so close on the ultimate, it feels kind of good to put a bow on it and then move on to some of the normal abilities and the passive. The question now becomes, does it execute or does it not?
I was thinking the exact same.
Yes.
And I think that the fans should be the ones to decide that,
Let's
right?
do it.
Oh yes, of course.
Graham, would you mind asking the crowd if
No
they prefer
problem.
the execute or not?
No problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. I can do that. Let's have a little go. Would you like execute? Or are you a Capri main? Yay!
Not a lot of Kepri players, huh?
No, clearly not. It's got an execute. Decided.
It's got an execute. So that's good news in a way because we might be able to work that in with some of the other abilities, or the passive potentially to get them to that execute threshold, or maybe we grow the execute threshold. Most of our executes in our game are static. It's the same number. I believe Thanatos is the only one that scales as you rank the ability. So those are types of things that we would start to think about. But overall, I'm feeling pretty good about what's going on with this ultimate. Just kind of Ao Kuang-esque, but a little bit more grounded, not so much vertical is going to be the key differentiator. I think.
Absolutely. And
it's
with that,
such
I want
an
to.
interesting way to move a god around. So I think it's something that is going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we're talking about munching on gods here, what are you we're coming to you with this crazy idea. A lot of times we have the concept team help sketch out what abilities would look like for the animation and effects team. What's kind of going through your mind on how this would look on the battleground?
I think it'd be really cool to give him like an emissive where his tummy blows up a little bit, slightly more, and it's glowing, kind of like a Care Bear situation.
Right.
So like, the god, maybe we can do a stamp of what god he swallows, and it's showing, it's glowing on his belly. I mean, mind you, that's kind of hard because we don't really see front-facing gods when we're in the middle of play. It's always from behind.
Right.
So I don't know, something like that I think would be really cool for initial design, just to have his belly glow. I think that'd be cool.
I love that.
Having that the belly expansion just makes sense. You know what I mean? You're not imagine eating Ratatoskr and your belly doesn't move a whole lot, but then you eat Jormungandr or Atlas and it's like
gets
the same amount.
Yeah.
Come on,
Can we
gotta
also
get
add some really good VO of him going like nom 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 nom?
Well, of course, he's got to say nom nom nom. I mean, he's munching, isn't he? Like, or just munch whenever he grabs the god. That's also though I think that's a Charybdis voice line already, as far as I'm concerned. At least I say it all the time. So now that we have a good spot on the ultimate, normally we would start trying to break down, does he need a movement ability? Does he need what is he clearing with? Those are the types of things that we would start to try and look for in brainstorming, and maybe some of the fans in the crowd here with Graham have ideas for movement, clear, gank setup, anything like that.
Okay, well, what we'll do is going to power through whoever's in the line now, back to back. Hopefully you got some of those ideas. Step on up, sir. Where are you from?
I'm from the UK, down in Bournemouth. My name is Alpha Jackal.
Who? I'm joking. Hello, you Alpha. What's your idea?
Well, I've got an idea for his 3, where it gives him a little bit of movement speed, but it's a 30-unit radius, where it's about 1 or 2 seconds. If anybody from the enemy team tries to heal in that radius, it's true anti-heal, and he gets a portion of that healing that he's stopped as healing back.
Interesting, okay.
Healers and executes. Thanks, AJ. Moving on, we're going to try and whip through the list real quick. Go on, what's your idea?
Justin, and I'm from Newfoundland. I'd like to tie into his aspect of being the king of the golden age of mankind.
Yeah,
so
great.
where if he was like the solo laner, like an assassin solo laner type, he would buff his ally minions, and then as he dies, he kind of gets a self buff of power for himself to kind of start the fight. And then for the jungle side, if he kills jungle minions, he could get power or penetration to kind of help him gank. So it kind of make him more of a sieger, I guess.
Sure, very cool. That'd be very
cool.
unique.
Thanks very much. Next up, come on through.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm from Ohio. And so I kind of had an idea for the...
Sorry, there was a lot of Ohio fans there. I got scared.
I kind of had an idea for the ult, but I can shift it towards an ability.
Great.
So kind of like Kali's 3, where she stuns, make that area around Cronus, and he kind of like freezes everyone in time. So like he doesn't get a dash or an escape, but instead he kind of has like a little self-peel for himself.
Sure, absolutely.
Awesome, thanks very much. Next up, let's go.
Evan from Chicago, and an idea for his auto attacks. He gets stacks of bleed onto an enemy god, and every third hit he gets increased HP 5 for a duration of time.
Okay, that's a good way to help with that sustain, especially if he's playing solo. I like it.
Next up.
My name's Mick. I'm from OKC. My idea actually is to do with movement. Most assassins are based in quickness, but this guy's not going to be quick. He's going to be a titan, so he's going to have long strides. So an ability to where he can take 4 or 5 really long strides and get to a fight quickly, as opposed to moving quickly within. Just the ability to get somewhere fast seems to make more sense for him.
That's very cool. We could probably do that. That wouldn't be that difficult to convey that It would just be speed up and then slow down to kind of do the big steps.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Hey, we'll get back to that. Let me get through these
Sorry,
guys.
that was a great idea,
Okay.
Mitch. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Colin from California, and I kind of like the idea of someone saying that there's a bleed, and for like a type of assassin solo to like be rewarded for going in at the right time. To maybe like an ability applies a bleed, and if you like jump in on 3 people, you get like to make him like tankier, give him some protections or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, a little initiation that way. I like it. That's cool.
Come on up. What's your idea?
So for my idea, I'm good comms, I'm from Florida. I think to reduce the, yeah, Florida, baby! So I think to reduce actually the protections of the creep that you do, however, your protections also gets reduced, so that way it's a little bit of a fair balance there, and then maybe implement some like lifesteal or something.
Cool. Yeah, little brawly warrior that way. I like it.
Hello, I'm Ege from Turkey, and I think it'd be really cool if this guy was able to, like, you know, he's an execute, right? So based on the last class he executed, he gets a different effect. So for that, an assassin, it would get more damage.
Yeah.
For mages, it would be like a different burst. For guardians, it'd be like some sort of heavier CC. That'd be really cool if you could just basically customize and store gods for later use. I don't know, that'd be really cool.
I was thinking something along the same lines using that passive idea from earlier. Very, very cool.
Come on up.
Hi, my name's Julian. I'm from Massachusetts. My idea isn't mine. My friends just didn't want to get up. So it's an ult idea, and it's kind of like a one-on-one kind of thing where you ult like how Heim does and he grabs somebody, where you go in this big dome and it's a one-on-one and both persons at like 25% health and whoever makes it out wins.
Yep, we get the 1v1 ult a lot. Thanks, Julian and your friends.
Okay, last one.
Okay.
I think, J-Mac, you're not going to make it. You can do it back at work, okay? No.
Message me on Slack, J-Mac. How about that?
Hi, my name's Blazy. I'm from Jacksonville. Yeah, Jacksonville, Florida. I thought building off the execute mechanic, I figured at 45 minutes he gets 1 charge at his ultimate, and it kills either one of the Titans. You don't get to choose.
Oh, it's the red button, huh?
The game ender.
Sometimes
Thank you, Blazy.
that would be nice. All right, thank you, everybody.
Hey, real quick.
Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
want to the audience, by the way, I'm pretty sure you all asked for protections and healing and executes. You want tank and healing matter. Chat is going to be so livid right now because that's all they've requested.
This crowd knows that chat is impossible to please. You know, it's
That's also true.
It's just how it is sometimes. Clumsy go. Oh yeah, we got one more in the line, Graham. We should get one more. Go ahead.
Come on, I didn't even see you. I'm sorry. I was so focused on it. Yeah, we're done. Where you from?
Iceland.
Hell yeah. Okay. What's your idea?
Milk. Drink some milk.
Like Bacchus, milk, drink milk?
Could be. I don't know. Just milk.
I just heard a chant for milk, milk, milk then. I'm like, wow. Okay.
Cool.
It is early morning. A lot of people were drinking yesterday. So
Yes,
thanks so
yes.
much for your idea. Appreciate it. Back to you guys on the desk.
Sweet. All right, so we're getting close to the end of the time here, so we got to move a little bit quickly potentially. That's why I'm going to throw it to my boss here. Clumsy, what are you thinking as you're trying to work down the kit and kind of distill it between maybe make some choices for some 2 abilities that the crowd can kind of help us make? What are you looking at here for the kit?
So like you said, we kind of have the ultimate, which has a really good foundation. We can come back towards that at the end because there's a lot of things that we can do there, but it's really just the extras. We have that execute, the engorging mechanic, and that sounds pretty good. From there, I would either kind of want to decide if we want to just kind of flesh out the kits with the abilities or focus a little bit more on that passive. And I know when we were talking about that in the crowd, you got a little bit excited to try and lean in the passive to some of the abilities. So what were your thoughts there?
Yeah, I was thinking, you don't want to make it entirely dependent on killing gods, because if you're getting supremely unlucky and getting camped and invaded and all that kind of stuff, and you're not able to get any kills and your passive doesn't do anything, that doesn't feel very good. So maybe it could be a little bit, you get smaller effects for continuing to kill minions. I know that was brought up by some of the fans, but I do like the idea of tying a passive mechanic into the ultimate. I wouldn't even tie it to the initial passive. It would be in the ultimate description only, where after you eat a god, you gain a permanent stat based on their class.
100%.
So I think that would be ultimate based more so than passive based.
Absolutely. So we did see that kind of resonate with the crowd, with the community as well. So I would like to talk about kind of include that in the pitch for regardless. So a little bit of a passive component based on the class of the enemy that's been ingested. But going back to the actual passive, Lermy, do you have any thoughts on kind of what you think would work well there for him?
Yeah, I have been really interested in a lot of these like bleed mechanics. That
Yeah,
we were
there's a lot of
talking
bleed,
about.
sickle kind of things.
And it seems really interesting to me to push forward with that. And I think that maybe his basics kind of apply a bleed, and we have those in the game already. So what's the best way to differentiate them? Perhaps it could be on a certain successful basic attack in a row, or within a duration, or on some additional condition that would give us that ability to, make it feel really special and really awesome when you hit it.
I was thinking something along the same lines, but he's this big assassin, right? He's slow, it's this big thing. What if his basic attacks were pretty slow, pretty big, and attack speed didn't speed up your attack speed, it sped up the bleed ticks. So that you would do more bleed ticks throughout it. You're always getting the same swing of the scythe, but the rate at which bleeds would tick, and you would get more bleeds, really, basically doing it that way, by building attack speed to have just a totally unique feel there.
Yeah, no, I love that idea. I think that takes a unique mechanic and plays around with that sickle and that heavy feeling of a Titan. So let's move forwards with that one.
So the movement idea that I really liked in particular, I think Mick was the one who suggested it, the long strides.
Sure.
Animation challenge right away. How are we going to convey that the leg isn't coming, it's up and then it's down if we're trying to do that. But just having it so that you get quick bursts of movement speed is kind of the way that I was thinking of implementing that, where you can get a bunch of speed and your big step takes you so far, and then when you plant, kind of slow down a little bit. It's the big lumbering type of feeling, but I think that would be a really cool type of movement ability. Lermy, I don't know if you had a different way of trying to make that feel that way, because of course feeling so critical there.
Yeah, as the player, right, you don't get that full perspective of what the character is doing all the time, so it's very important to make sure that the animation feels good for the person playing them, as well as conveying the action very well to the person that's seeing them on the other side, right? Even for your own teammates, they need to know what you're doing at basically all times, right? They need to be able to read your abilities and how you're casting them, so that they can play off of you as well. And so, like you were saying, those big lumbering steps, like if you can imagine this giant, when he's running fast, it seems so slow for us,
right?
Because he's just so much bigger than us. And I think that visual is so cool, and I would love for us to do that.
Anna, I know you've been working hard over there, scribbling away. Could you have anything that you're ready to share with us?
Yes, I did like a little overall, make him real.
With some milk, of course.
Of course.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That's for that hero.
I love the have you seen?
Please, can we please add some milk? That would be so funny.
The people want it.
The
clearly.
battle corgi, of course. Another hero in the crowd suggested that. But for the most part, this is what I have. I think it'd be like a really cool combination of him being like a chunk boy, but he is like super, super easy to maneuver. His armor is a little less, so that way he moves easier and he's just like ready to go.
This is awesome work. I love this.
Yeah, this is looking great. So I think that, we are running very low on time. I know we wanted to try and get the entire kit, but sometimes it's part of the design process. You get a little wrapped up in one or two key features. I think the framework that we feel really good about here, I really like the bleed passive. It seemed like everyone was okay with my wild, wacky basic attack idea with the attack speed trying to change the bleed thing, the unique type of movement ability, and then for one of the other abilities, the projectile throwing the crops and creating that slow field, I think
a little bit of CC there.
Would feel pretty on brand for the God of the Harvest.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking the same thing. We want to use a little bit of that projectile because he's kind of got a lot of melee focus, which I think is totally fine, but we want to play a little bit on the themes too. And then finally, I think maybe to like round out the kit, some sort of AoE cleaving attack. I love the idea that he doesn't really gain attack speed. But maybe some way kind of in using that mechanic to almost like Thor Berserker Barrage. It doesn't need to be in a circle, but where he can do it fast. It's like this is his moment of attack speed, right? He's going to hit really fast, really quickly, and apply those bleed stacks really fast.
Oh, that would be cool.
And again, we could do something a little bit more unique, like with Mulan, or we could do whether it's a circle or something like cleave, instant bleed stacks.
Yeah, I think that would be really, really cool and stack those up. But then, of course, you get the big, crazy moment of devouring an enemy god.
That's what he's there for.
Gotta be able. Look, he's a Titan. He's big. I want them to pick them up a little bit. You know,
Yeah, we're talking
little
about the animation
grab.
Just
Maybe
grab.
it's just from the Surtur cinematic where Anubis gets choke slammed, but that's what I want. That's what I really want to see in there. So I feel like we had some really great ideas. I want to thank the crowd here in Arlington for participating. You know, again, for our very theoretical, hypothetical god that we have built here in Cronus, but some very great ideas that I think we're going to be writing down and bringing back with us. So thank you everybody here, and thank you everybody at home who was there and participating. And with that, we're going to throw it to a quick break as we get ready to advance towards the finals here later on today.
What's up, Smite fans? Dolson here, and Season 9 of the SPL is shaping up to be maybe the best ever. And to help us get there, we're partnering with Alienware to provide